Kia ora and welcome to this episode of the Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of Aotearoa, New Zealand. My co-host for this season is Rachel Pilwer.
Hello!
Today we're discussing Chapter 3 of Emma. In Chapter 3, we're introduced to Mr Woodhouse's little social circle, real little, and Emma meets Harriet.
Woo!
Wow, Mr Woodhouse sounds quite painful to be around.
Yeah, he's an interesting fellow.
He's fond of society, but he likes people to come and see him. But he doesn't like to go out, he doesn't like to be out late, he doesn't like large dinner parties. Although, having said all of this, I think I might be Mr Woodhouse.
I was just about to say the same thing. I was like, I think I'm Mr Woodhouse.
I don't like large parties, I don't like late hours, but I don't like people coming to visit me, I prefer going to visit them.
3 out of 4 Mr Woodhouse traits. I actually also prefer to go to other people's places that way.
Why is that?
Because I feel like A, I don't have to tidy my house in order to... Yeah, exactly. B, I can just be like, I've really got to go and then just leave. Whereas so it feels so much more harder to like kick somebody out of your own space.
That is very true.
But I feel like with Mr Woodhouse, he probably doesn't have that problem. Everybody caters to him because he's an old man, he's very sensitive to...
He's also top tier of society.
He never really minces his words. He kind of says what he's thinking, even if it's not always agreeable to other people. So if he was thinking, oh, this event has gone on for far too long, people would be like, oh, well, that's how cute it goes. So everybody would leave. Whereas I feel like I can't do that. He's not a people pleaser.
No, that's where we fall down.
That's where we fall down on being Mr Woodhouse. Too busy trying to please people.
We know he falls asleep when it's evenings with just him and Emma. Do you think he'd do the same when there are people there?
Oh, that's a good question. How old is he supposed to be? Because
We don't know.
We don't know, do we? No. I feel like that's pretty common for older people to just nod off. Grandparents would do it when I would go and visit them.
Wasn't there a great thing about, oh, I can see his face. I can't think of his name. Black American male actor.
Denzel Washington. Morgan Freeman. Falling asleep on set.
And falling asleep in interviews.
Yeah.
He's an old man, and they have to do ridiculously long days.
Yeah.
And talk to stupid people.
Your body slows down when you get older and you need more rest and, you can't keep going. You know what? If he falls asleep during his own dinner party, fair play. Honestly, I wish I could pull that trick. It would be great.
He prefers evening parties. You'd have your dinner and then people would just come over to chat and play games and then you'd have some snacks. And I'm like, that also sounds perfect to me.
It does sound pretty good. He's not cooking the dinner regardless.
No, he's not doing anything.
A quiet dinner with your family and then your friends come over afterwards just to hang out and equivalent of playing video games and watching a TV show and then we're all just like, cool, see you later, have a good night. I think that sounds really great and I think it's really nice that his social circle is like a close set of friends and while none of those friends are his own age, it's kind of nice to have these people who are willing to go and spend time with him.
The age thing is an excellent point because they're all significantly older than Emma as well.
That's true. That's very true. Mr. Knightley himself is, 16 years older.
Yep.
Mrs. Bates, I don't even know how old she is.
We've got to imagine 40s?
Yeah.
At least?
Yeah, that would make sense. The Westons.
Oh, Mr. Elton will be the closest in age to her, and he's 26, 27.
So there's still 5 years between them,
yeah.
But not so big of a difference. But this is also Emma's main social circle too. It's not just her father's. It's who she kind of associates with. Both this very young woman and this very old man have the same friends.
The Westons and Mr. Knightley come all the time, and that's great. And then they've got Mr. Elton, who just happens to be living alone and is like, yeah, I'm totally going to come and eat your free food and let your daughter smile at me. Which I wonder at this point if he's already like, she's smiling at me, what does it mean? Which makes me think of the whole thing you can't be nice to men because if you're nice to them, they think that you're flirting.
Even just smiling at someone on the street is should I? Oh, I don't know. It's those nuances. Because you never want to get, saying you never want to give someone the wrong impression, but it's so difficult to avoid giving someone the wrong impression because you might not do anything and they could still get that. As we know, Mr. Elton tends to perceive Emma has a regard for him later on.
Although her behaviour does change later on and she is a bit more smiley at him, so I don't know.
I'm unsure if it's in this chapter or the next one, but Mr. Elton is described as the most handsome, the regard of perfection in their society. He's very good looking, so I think he's potentially very used to having attention in that way. He's never gone after a woman because he's also quite proud.
We know he's a big favourite at Mrs. Goddard's school. Yeah. Amongst all the teachers and the older girls who are like, oh, Mr. Elton, because he's single, eligible, and I guess handsome. They're like, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
So probably everywhere he goes in Highbury, girls are throwing themselves at him. It's kind of like Darcy on a smaller scale.
The differing being that Mr. Darcy doesn't welcome the attention, whereas Mr. Elton absolutely does. I think he likes people fawning over him. People fawn over him in a different way than they fawn over Emma, because while she is beautiful, she's also rich. She's high in society, and while Mr. Elton in his role is very well respected, he's not of the same kind of caliber. He doesn't have the money to throw around, but he has his looks to woo. It's the whole, do you bribe someone or do you seduce them? He's a seducer.
He can only seduce. He's only got one arrow in his quiver. Better to have two. Yeah. Seduce and bribe. The other people that come are Mrs. and Miss Bates. Mrs. Bates was married to the vicar. I'm guessing the vicar one before Mr. Elton, because Mr. Elton's only been there like a year. So I reckon there must have been one in between, and lives with her daughter, Miss Bates, who's in her 40s, who's so happy. She's just so happy, and she chatters inanely about everything. And apparently Mr. Woodhouse really likes that. He likes that she just gossips, and it makes him happy. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think that might be annoying, but it's nice that he likes it.
Well, I was thinking that as well. I was like, Miss Bates, I mean, she's written to be this slightly ridiculous character. She's very similar to Mrs. Bennet in that way, because she is so friendly. She doesn't say anything mean a lot of the time, especially now. I feel like when we think of gossip, it's a bit harsh and mean, and you're talking about someone behind their back. But her gossip is never hurtful.
No.
It's always just her being like, did you hear the news? But it's always news that's been made public, I feel like, or at least all the things I can remember her talking about. It's all the things that people are allowed to know. It's not anybody's dirty secrets.
Well, because when you think about it, the news is just gossip on a larger scale. When you don't have TV and you don't have radio, you entertain yourself with what's going on around you.
The lives of everybody else is this telenovela of your life, you know?
Yes. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's such a shame that gossip has got a really bad rep these days. And I've seen discourse on it where people are like, gossip tends to be particularly a woman's thing, and it's about making sure you understand people and its safety and all this sort of thing. And because it's female focused, it's then got this negative thing on it.
Stigma around it.
But representations of gossip that we see in media tend to be negative. They tend to be talking shit about people, as opposed to just sharing information about what's happening or warning women about men. Women talk so they know the men that are not good. A few years ago, maybe actually like 10, there surfaced that there was an internet document shared with women in an industry about men in that industry to be careful around.
Wow.
And it hit the news and people got really pissy about it. Like, how dare they be blackballing people? And if we can't talk about this stuff openly, women are going to have to talk about it quietly. And unfortunately, society still skews towards men. And they can get away with shit that if they do such and such, they're empowered, and if women do such and such, they're bossy. And if they complain about something, they've got good standards, and if a woman complains, she's picky. And it means that if a woman ever says anything bad about a man, it can have more of an impact on her. And it's easier to go, don't trust this guy.
Don't be around him because you don't want to get messed up.
Anyway, sorry, that was very segue.
Back to Miss Bates. A lot of her conversation ends up coming back to Jane Fairfax, who we still haven't met in person at this point. As we said before, we'd probably find Miss Bates a little bit annoying. You can kind of understand a little bit of why Emma has this, hatred is not the word, but this dislike, this contempt for Jane, even before we've met Jane. If you were constantly hearing about the same person, like regardless what they did, it's like, they brushed their teeth this morning. Oh my God, did you hear about it? It was so amazing. That's kind of how it seems to feel when Miss Bates talks about Jane sometimes.
It is her favourite topic of conversation. Even as we're meeting Miss Bates, she's being compared to Emma. She's a woman neither young, handsome, or rich. Hello, what was Emma introduced as? But people love her, even though she's not smart or beautiful or rich. She's just happy and feels good to be around. If you don't feel like talking, but you're okay listening to other people talk, she would be fun to be around. You're like, I don't really feel like talking today. It's okay. I'll go hang out with Miss Bates. She'll do all the talking. Yeah. I don't have to do anything.
Listen, Miss Bates is a little bit unaware of her own presence, but because of that, she doesn't require a response. She's talking. She's not requiring you to respond to have a conversation. She'll just talk at you and be perfectly happy thinking, this is a really good chat we're having. But it makes her a much more agreeable guest for someone like Mr Woodhouse. Although I can see, let's know here, that they had people over almost every evening, which sounds like a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah. But then it is just Emma and her father.
That's true.
So having other people there would make such a difference. And it means that she does get to see the Westons and Mr. Knightley. Though it sounds like Mr. Knightley just drops around all the time regardless.
It sounds like he's there, if not every day, twice a day. He just comes by to check on them and stuff.
Get up, have breakfast, go to Hartfield, work for the day.
Go to Hartfield, go home, next day, repeat.
The third, I really want to be like, it's the three witches. The third older lady, I should say, is Mrs. Goddard. She runs a local school where girls come to board. And it's lovely, and she's lovely, and it's all kind of idyllic. And it says that she formerly owed much to Mr. Woodhouse's kindness, but nothing else about that. And I had this thought, okay, it's evil and obviously not true. No basis, in fact. When you read Regency romance novels written these days, they tend to talk about boarding schools for girls that are actually run by men's ex-mistresses. That's how they had the money to set up a boarding school. And I don't think that's what Austen is pointing to here. Also because I don't know how historically accurate that is, that was a thing. Yeah. But somebody at some point picked up on it and they've all loved talking about it. But the owing much to Mr. Woodhouse's kindness, like that could...
That does sound... You could easily be alluding to that, you know, like that line. Maybe he's just a patron or an investor. Got plenty of income, plenty of money. Because I don't think they really say, apart from him helping her, how they gotten to know each other, you know.
No.
Maybe she was a friend of his wife or acquaintance, and maybe his wife was like, oh, she needs help. I don't know when Emma's mother passed away off the top of my head.
Emma was like 4 or 5.
She was very young, yeah. I don't know if we know exactly how old Mrs. Goddard is, but obviously she's been married, or she is married. I don't think we ever meet a Mr. Goddard in this, do we?
No. Again, she might not actually be married. It might be an honorary title.
An honorary title. That's true. At the end of the day, boarding school, you require money to look after those students, to run that business, as it were. You could definitely have people investing and helping you out.
Mr. Woodhouse, investor.
Mr. Woodhouse on Dragons Den.
That would be so funny.
Regency Dragons Den.
Yes, so we'd have Lady Catherine, Mr. Woodhouse, maybe Sir Thomas Bertram, and he'd be like,
yeah,
are there slaves?
Who's producing this? You just want, how much does it cost to make this item? Oh, there's slaves. Free.
That's his social circle, and the three witches are the ones who tend to come around for tea often. And that's who Emma's hanging out with. And it doesn't make up for the absence of Mrs. Weston, but her father's happy. I can do that. Mrs. Goddard sends her a note and says, could I bring someone with me? Her name is Miss Smith. And Emma's like, yes. She had long felt an interest in Miss Smith on account of her beauty. I have read things before talking about lesbian undertones in Emma. And the way she talks about Harriet, the very first thing is she's interested in her because she's beautiful. Although, having said that, who doesn't like to look at pretty things?
Honestly, sometimes I'll just see someone and I'll just be like, wow, look at the Such a beautiful woman. I am gay as well, but
You're like,
I'm on that bi spectrum, but
he's like, I would never talk to you though because you do. I can't talk to girls.
It's the never-ending problem of almost every lesbian or queer woman. Is wow, look at that girl. I can't talk to her.
She's
what's my name again? But I totally get what you mean. There is kind of it's such an intimate relationship between Emma and Harriet and the way it progresses. And while Emma is using her influence and playing matchmaker with Harriet easily becomes her closest friend, It's I mean, not that she has too many people her own age to associate with, but they click very quickly. Although I feel part of that is just Emma being like, somebody to take under my wing, somebody to teach my wise ways.
Because I know best about everything and finally someone who actually listened to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Harriet she is beautiful. She's described as a beauty. I feel like in almost every version of Emma that's been put to screen,
Emma's more attractive than Harriet.
Emma's always more attractive than Harriet.
Yeah.
Harriet's very rarely portrayed as a beauty of her own. They always have her as a little bit of like an ugly duckling, and then she's transformed by Emma into this beautiful, this new woman.
They miss the point that Harriet's the pretty one.
Yeah.
And Emma's like, she's so pretty. And she doesn't mind that Harriet's prettier than her, even though she's attractive, but Harriet more so.
Harriet, again, only has beauty. She has no title. She has a pretty good allowance. Compared to most girls in her situation, Harriet gets a good allowance. Emma assumes
must mean her dad makes bank.
Yeah. She doesn't know who her dad is, but he must be making that money. So she just assumes that she's of a higher caliber of society.
Let's just forget that she was born out of wedlock. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Fine. She's a beautiful woman. That's all you need to know.
This should be like the danger thing, because you know how we're talking about people's mistresses. She's exactly the sort of person that could easily fall into that because she's beautiful. Men will want to, but they won't want to marry her.
Yeah.
There's potential that Emma could have set her up to be in a bad situation because she's introducing her to people above her rank and convincing her not to marry men that were appropriate for her. So Harriet is described as a very pretty girl, short, plump and fair with a fine bloom, blue eyes, light hair, regular features and a look of great sweetness. It's a sort of beauty that happened to be of a sort which Emma particularly admired. And again, I'm like, oh really, Emma, you like the girls, do you?
You like, what's your type? Short, plump, blue eyes. It's like, what's that thing, that trend that's going around? It's like, I want a guy in finance, blue eyes. And then it's like Emma being like, I want a girl at boarding school, blue eyes, but short and plump.
God, I love that. Harriet knows nothing about her history. She has no idea who her parents are. And I'm like, how is this even possible? She's just being passed from school to school without ever having anything. How is she so well adjusted?
Honestly, yeah. Half the time I'm reading books and I'm like, there wasn't any concept of therapy back then. She probably needs it, but she's written to still be this really, you're like you said, well-adjusted character, and I'm just like, girl, I'd be a mess.
Is it like Miss Bates? They're both not clever, they're simple and happy. Is it the simple, happy stereotype?
Too simple to understand the consequence of your situation is kind of in a way. As we continue to read, Harriet isn't depicted as being very clever, but also she's never known anything else. You can't really you can miss something you've never had, but it's a different sort of grief. She'll never know the kind of future she could have had otherwise. So it's difficult to kind of grieve that in a way. And so I guess the best way to move forward, the best way to survive, is to just go with the flow. Be happy with your situation.
There are a lot of parentless children in this book.
It's true. Emma got her dad. She's never
But he's not really very fatherlike. No. She's fathering him.
She's parenting him. Yeah. Jane.
Yeah.
Frank Churchill, who has his father but had to go and live with his aunt. Yeah, then you've got Harriet. I mean, even just some of the side characters who, I mean, they're all really adults, but we don't really know anything about.
And we've got to assume that Mrs. Weston's parents weren't around for her to go and be a governess. They weren't there to look after her. And there's nothing mentioned about her family when she marries Mr. Weston.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's not mentioned at all. Was that an oversight on Austen's part? Or did she purposely leave it out? Maybe she wrote them in and then found that's not important to the story and cut it, you know?
Or is it intentional to be, this story is about a lot of people trying to make their way in the world when they don't have guides? Mr. Knightley ends up being Emma's guide in a way, and Emma's trying to do that for other people. Like, she's trying to do it for Harriet. Not that, she has just met her. Obviously, she likes Harriet's appearance. There's nothing remarkably clever in her conversation. She's not trying to be Emma's friend. She shows a certain amount of deference and is so pleasantly grateful and artlessly impressed. I think Emma's just flattered.
She's getting an ego boost.
Yeah,
you know?
She must have good sense because she thinks you're great. Because she thinks you're great.
I think you're so cool and awesome. You have great taste in character. You're so smart. You know that I'm the shit.
And Emma proceeds to disparage Harriet's friends. She's been staying with the Martins of Abbey Mill Farm. She knows of them because they are tenants of Mr. Knightley. They're good people, but of course they're farmers, so they can't be that good. They can't be polished, and they're not worthy of Harriet. Obviously. So Emma's like, project! I'm going to make sure that she is in the proper rank of society and detach her from her bad acquaintance.
This is the point where I'm just like, yikes. Emma, it's how she's been raised, it's the society she lives in. The rank is, the class that you live in is of great importance. And while Harriet doesn't exactly know the class she would belong to by birth, just by being Emma's association, it kind of brings her up a little bit. But Emma, she's been raised to look down on that profession of farming, which is a very honourable profession in general, even back then or now. We don't eat without farmers, so hey Emma, maybe think about that.
And it's not like the Martins are poor or anything. When you later learn more about them, they have 2 parlours in their house. They have enough space to have a guest come and stay. They have a garden with like a summer house where you can sit and drink tea.
They had enough money to house Harriet for an entire summer. Oh yeah, we'll just take in an extra person, no problem. Easy.
They sound like they're actually pretty well set up. Just that she has this weird snobbery because she's like, I'm best friends with my governess, but Harriet can't marry a farmer. What? And then there's just talk about food. Mr. Woodhouse loves to be hospitable, but he gets upset when people eat, which is just the weirdest thing. And I think growing up with a parent like that is a recipe for an eating disorder.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought. I've never thought about EDs in Austen's world, but yeah, honestly, it's true. Having to not quite hide when you eat, but he's quite I want to say rigid man when it comes to manners and propriety and stuff. But
I'm not sure about the categories of eating disorder, but some of his behaviour around food could be categorised in that way.
But he's so concerned for his health and his children's health, and he doesn't like change of any kind, and maybe part of a wider disorder or just a wider... I don't know if I call it an illness specifically, more... He could be on the spectrum. He could have, all of his quirks kind of add up to him potentially being neurodivergent. That's the word my brain wants to bring up with.
Yeah, that would work. He would fit that really well. He's like very particular about how things should be. He likes things to be his own way. He's particular about what he eats.
Probably got some form of OCD. How he eats, how other people act and behave around him.
And he likes his bland food, and he can always feel drafts and noises. And I'm like, yeah, that is a really good point.
Yeah, sensory overwhelming.
Yeah. Is Mr. Woodhouse neurodiverse? Discuss.
But that's the thing, again, is, neurodiversity in Austen it's always portrayed with her side characters, not her heroines and heroes so much.
I saw someone on Instagram saying that Darcy and Lizzie are a neurodiverse couple. He's autistic. She's ADHD.
I guess I could see it. I've always felt like Catherine from...
Catherine Ward?
Yeah. Could be. ADHD. She gives me ADHD vibes.
Oh, yeah. There's a thing that when you're neurodiverse, you get kind of vibes of other people. Yeah, they feel like my people.
Yeah. No wonder I like that story. No wonder I like these characters.
And then you just start diagnosing people all over the place.
Honestly, it's so true. It's so easy to just see it. Once you know about it and you know what it's like for you, it's so much easier to see in other people. Someone told me and then I was like, oh, no, maybe you're right. And then
suddenly everyone around you, because we all attract each other.
Yeah. The neurodiverse magnet. The queer magnet.
And the crossover between the two.
The artsy magnet. It's the you know, the what's it called? The Venn diagram of all those things. It's just a circle.
It's a circle.
Just this whole thing about them discussing eggs. It just feels like it just comes out of nowhere at the end of chapter 3. And it's just the funniest interaction. I'm just going to read it, but... Mrs. Bates, let me propose your venturing on one of these eggs. An egg boiled very soft is not unwholesome. Cyril understands boiling an egg better than anybody. I would not recommend an egg boiled by anybody else. This cook knows his eggs.
I mean, he's the same about his driver, and like everybody that I know that I've hired is fantastic. I don't trust anyone else.
I know the person, and they work for me, and nobody like. And it's part of his whole thing of not liking change. It's like Miss Taylor is the perfect governess. She's got married. There's nobody else who could ever do this, who could ever match up. But I feel like having such an opinion on eggs, I mean, we've all got opinions on things, but I just think it's one of the funniest conversations, at least in the first half of the book, I find, for me.
And then it's got, Emma allowed her father to talk, but supplied her visitors in a much more satisfactory style. So he's like, do you want a little bit? Just a little bit. It's not unhealthy. And she's like, quietly slipping them a whole plate full of food. So funny.
Just like, just take a nibble. Here, have a proper feast, guys. You're here for the free food. I get it.
Yeah.
Have as much as you want. It's a good chapter. It's a good way to introduce the social circle.
Yeah, even though like not really anything happens. We meet Harriet, that's about it. You get this idea of how things are. And that is our discussion of Chapter 3 of Emma by Jane Austen. I'm Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwer. Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.
Bye.